Are you serious? Are you serious? Calm down, but the water's turning red. The water's turning red like blood. A biblical sign from the Bible as the water is turning blood red off the Hormuz island, the Straits of Hormuz. It flows between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Both these countries are currently experiencing biblical locusts. Now the water's turning blood red in the same area between these two nations, and the tension of potential war is looming between these two nations as well. Is God sending us a sign of the last days? Is something biblical going on here with the signs of the second coming of Christ? Well, this is an incredible phenomenon. They don't know what's going on. People are freaking out. There are people literally are saying, this is really insane. The water is blood red. I can tell you that it's a stunning account. They're saying they don't know what it is. There's no algae in the water. It's just off the island of Hormuz. And it's not algae. It's not a red tide. And the water is now being sampled to be tested. It's not some kind of dye or some kind of weird chemical pollution. It is actually blood red water. Now, the Bible says in the scriptures, if you go to Revelation 16, it does say these words. Reading in verse 3, it says, "And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. And a third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and on the fountains of waters, and they became blood." Now, there's other scriptures about the water turning blood red in Revelation 8:8, but that has to do with deep impacts from asteroids and comets. Even the comet Wormwood, it says, the star called Wormwood, crashing onto the earth. This account is not that. This has to do with the water just simply turning blood red on the sea and in the rivers and fountains of waters. Now, the fact that now look, you have to understand, we've had the Sea of Azov off the coast of Russia, the water turned blood red. Not long after that, Russia invaded Ukraine. So that was a huge sign to me. Also, we had the Beirut River run blood red for 3 days and nights. Not long after that, Israel went to war in the Middle East with the Hamas out of Gaza, and that went on for 50 days. And that also happened in between the 4 blood moon tetrad. Now, this situation is different because we know the Iranians, even though they've been chanting death to Israel, and even though the United States of America and Iran have been going at each other verbally, the real tension's been between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The Iranians, who are swearing their ideology is to blow up the Black Stone in Mecca, to destroy Saudi Arabia's influence over the religion of Islam, and to move the holiest side of Islam to Jerusalem, to the Temple Mount. That's why they want to destroy the Mecca and then take over Jerusalem. And this is their ideology, and this is their focus. And they've been threatening war with Saudi Arabia for some time now. And America's right there in the middle of this with Israel and others. But now the water turns blood red just off the coast of Iran, there at the Straits, right there on Hormuz Island. I think this is another sign, a very serious biblical sign of a confrontation, potentially a war coming between Iran and Saudi Arabia. It may involve other nations of the Middle East. This could be catastrophic. This could be even cataclysmic. Now, in the book of Jeremiah, there is a prophecy in the 49th chapter of Jeremiah that talks about the destruction of Elam. Elam, back in the day when the Persian Empire was large, Elam was, of course, a segment of that kingdom of Iran. So what is going on? It said in the last days that God would scatter the inhabitants of Elam to the 4 corners of the earth, or to the every nation of the world. Are we about to see a biblical confrontation? Are we about to see a prophecy revealed of a battle between Saudi Arabia and Iran and other nations involved? Is this the beginning? Are we going to have peace and safety as Jared Kushner is ready to bring forth this peace deal that involves many nations? Or are we going to have sudden destruction? If you go to the book of Thessalonians, is why I'm reading this, is because the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, it says these words. When they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh. And so is that what's about to happen? Are we on the brink of this? Is this a biblical sign? There's been so many biblical signs now. They're all converging at the same time. Whether the moon is shrinking or whether the stars are falling or whether Nibiru is shaking the heavens or the locusts. What is the odds of locusts swarming in Saudi Arabia and Iran and now blood red water between Saudi Arabia and Iran? Are you serious? Are you serious? These are the plagues of Egypt. We're in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. The apocalypse, the coming apocalypse is upon mankind.